in India, a radio station had crackled into life in 1942. A young announcer was at the microphone, her voice brimming with passion. When most voices had been silenced, hers was confident, committed, unwavering, strong.
This is Congress Radio, speaking from somewhere in India on 42.34 meters.
It was the August of 1942. The Second World War was at its height. The Gowalia Tank Maidan at Bombay was reverberating with Mahatma Gandhi's clarion call of do or die. Mahatma Gandhi was asking all Indians to leave their jobs and take part in the movement. In the crowd, drinking it all in, was a bright-eyed 22-year-old college student, along with her friends, dreaming an audacious dream. A radio story had just begun to write itself.
She and her colleagues and friends, they all had gone to listen to Gandhi on 7th and 8th August. And they said, we need to do something. Oh, we have to give correct information to the people of India because most of the media was banned.
Talking about Usha Mehta, a pioneer and chief announcer of that remarkable radio station, is Usha Thakkar, well-known historian, author and president, Mani Bhavan Gandhi Sangrahalaya, Mumbai. Let us hear from the protagonist of this radio story, Usha Mehta herself, from this archival recording of All India Radio.
As all of us know, August 7th and 8th was the AICC session in Bombay. Mahatma Gandhi told us that this will mostly be the final battle for freedom. We need not wait for leadership from any of the national leaders, but we must become our own leaders and chalk out our own program. We had read the history of freedom struggles of some other countries, and we were convinced that the best way to assure its success would be to carry the message that Mahatma Ji had given to as many villages as possible, and also to keep the people acquainted with the progress of the movement.
Volunteering, organizing was nothing new for young Usha Mehta and her friends.
We certainly had done the work for underground bulletins in the earlier struggles as volunteers of Vanar Sena and Manjar Sena. But this time we wanted to do something more substantial, and therefore we thought of having a transmitter of our own so that we could carry the news of the struggle to the remotest corners of the country. From the pocket expense which we were getting, we collected some funds, gave it to the radio engineer, and I think on the 13th August, our transmitter began functioning.
Here is a recreated broadcast of the clandestine radio station from October 18, 1942.
This is Congress Radio, speaking from somewhere in India on 42.34 meters. Now you will hear the news.
Bihar. Many Congress leaders have been arrested. In a village, a police party, headed by the police superintendent, came to arrest some people. But, as many people collected, they got frightened and had to return without arresting them. Many people were fired upon in Darjeeling on September 9th. Many were injured and 3 died. Allah Baksh was the true leader of his province, Sindh, and he has been driven out.
This is Congress Radio. Appeal of the All India Congress Committee. Appeal to the police. O young men of the police, many of you have been killed by the British government. News are being received about the policemen resigning individually or in a body from different places.
Are you going to tolerate the insults at the hands of this government forever? You should boycott them and take them as your enemies.
To the workers in the factories, the revolvers made by you are being used in killing your own brothers. You will soon be summoned to leave them and join the country movement. Appeal to the railway workers. Worker brothers, you are helping the government by driving the railways, which has killed 75,000 of your brothers. You are carrying their soldiers from one place to another. The fire of revolution is spreading from one place to another. Workers are stopping work in the factories.
Usha Mehta called it the voice of freedom. And the voice of freedom fanned the fire of patriotism. It went straight to the hearts of the people, rattled their conscience, and made them act. After all, it was a people's struggle. The voice of freedom was put together with the concerted efforts of Usha Mehta and her compatriots, like Vitthal Bhai Jhaveri, Chandrakant Jhaveri, and Babu Bhai Thakkar. There were ham radio operators involved. Technicians and equipment were supplied by Nanak Motwani, who was associated with the Chicago Radio Company in Bombay. Seeing the efficacy of this medium of protest, eminent leaders like Ram Manohar Lohia, Achyut Rao Patwardhan got involved.
Now Dr. Lohia and Achyut Raoji Patwardhan were in Bombay in those days. They heard us on the radio, and both of them were very keen on contacting us or on finding out who these young men and women were. So my maternal uncle, who also happens to be our radio engineer, came to know about it, and he told doctor that it was his niece who was involved in this group. And Dr. Lohia and Achyut Raoji used to give us talks on different subjects. They gave us messages for the soldiers, for students, for women, and also for our army officers and soldiers.
Usha Mehta was initiated young. She had been taken to meet Gandhiji at his ashram at the age of 5. Later, he held a camp somewhere close to her village, Saras in Gujarat, where she attended and learnt spinning. Gandhiji left an indelible impression on her, which lasted a lifetime. At home, they used water from the sea. They made salt out of the water as an act of protest against the salt tax. As a little girl of 8, she joined the chorus of Simon, Go Back.
Simon, go back!
I hate them. They're cruel. They're rough. They're rude.
Usha? Who is it, Papa?
Those fat, mean policemen. They don't even care for children. Don't even look where they're going.
Now, wipe your eyes. Wipe your eyes. Now, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Quieten down. And now tell me what happened.
We were marching with everyone else, asking that Simon person to go back.
Then?
Suddenly, these policemen started charging at us. My friend was holding the tiranga. He hit her with her lathi and she fell to the ground with the flag in her hand. I rushed to her and helped her up. The flag was not spoiled, thank God. But she was hurt. And I too got a hit. I hate them.
Oh, no point just being angry, Baba. The mothers in this mohalla are not going to see their children hurt. We'll be cleverer than them. You have your milk and I'll just be back. You finish your milk, okay? Usha, we have found a way. All us mothers have decided that when you go for the procession tomorrow, you'll all be dressed in saffron, white and green. And guess what we'll tell the policemen? You can wield your sticks and your batons, but you cannot bring down our flag. They won't know what to do because each one of you will represent the Indian flag. Isn't that a good idea?
Yay!
We
We
fooled
make
them.
fools of them! Yay! How dare they disrespect our flag?
Those were the heady days of pre-independence. People breathed heavily, slept fitfully, thought endlessly of how to break the shackles of colonial power and bring in the fresh air of freedom. Age was no matter of concern. Children, youth, elders, all were in it together, each doing their bit in every possible way.
नन्ना मुन्ना राही हूँ देश का सिपाही हूँ बोलो मेरे संग जय हिंद जय हिंद जय हिंद जय हिंद जय हिंद.
The Quit India movement was aimed at forcing the British government to come to the negotiating table by holding their war effort hostage. And the British response? Imprisoning almost the entire Indian National Congress leadership, including Mahatma Gandhi, without trial. Most of them were kept there till the end of Second World War in 1945.
आज की ताजा खबर महात्मा गांधी और अन्य सभी नेता गिरफ्तार. आज की ताजा खबर गांधी जी पूना के आगा खां महल में. आज की ताजा खबर मौलाना आजाद पंडित नेहरू अहमदनगर के किले में कैद. आज की ताजा खबर.
The Indian National Congress was declared as an unlawful association. Its offices across the country were raided and their funds frozen. News and information completely censored. One day, Usha Mehta came to her father and declared that her education would have to wait and walked out of her home. She disappeared for nearly a fortnight. When she resurfaced, she had helped set up an underground radio station with a small group of comrades. The first broadcast was on 27th August 1942.
Usha Mehta remembered very fondly that we were convinced that a transmitter of her own is perhaps one of the most important requirements for the successful carrying on of the movement.
Professor Usha Thakkar recalls a conversation with Usha Mehta, who incidentally was her professor at Bombay University.
The Congress radio was not in a radio-only name, Usha Mehta would say proudly. It had its own transmitter, transmitting station, recording station, its all call signal, and a distinct wave length.
And how was the transmitter and other technical equipment procured? We ask Professor Sucheta Mahajan, Chairperson, Centre for Historical Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University.
A gentleman by the name of Nariman Printer, he was located and he came in and he had already had a transmitter, but there were many pieces of technical equipment that were needed for this, most of which were obtained from Chicago Radio. Chicago Radio was owned by the Motwanes, who were the first people who had set up the live broadcasting of the Bombay session. Now the transmitter, once that was got and it was tried out, you needed a safe place. So after a lot of scoring and looking around, a place in Chowpatty, which was right on the top floor, was located, and the transmitter was set up there, and some beddings were put up because the people who would come in and out would have to stay.
This secret radio, with its fiery speeches and programs, lit up the people's enthusiasm and made them resolute. It kept leaders in touch with each other and also the public.
This way we went on for about 3 months, and we used to change places every 8 or 10 days. The police were after us, they were chasing us, but that time they did not have a powerful machine which could give them the exact location of our transmitting station. And therefore, by the time they got one direction, we would have shifted to just the opposite direction. And each time we had to give different excuses to the building owners. Otherwise, they would not have let their flats to us. So sometimes we would say our old uncle is coming from up country for an operation. Sometimes we would say that a marriage party is coming. So this is how we managed.
The transmission hours were limited, but the reach was not. The British government was clueless and exasperated. The police wireless monitoring unit had sleepless nights. A vigilance van roamed the streets to try and locate the transmitter. But it seemed an impossible task. Another interesting insight comes from Tushar Gandhi, the great grandson of the Mahatma.
The British, every time they triangulated her location of broadcast and raided that place, she would hide her radio and sit spinning cotton. And they would, arrest all the people in that location and ignore her, saying that she's a young girl, she is Gandhi's follower, she's doing her spinning, we don't care about it. Till they realized that in all the places that they had gone looking for the radio, she was the common thread. And she defied the British. She kept broadcasting her radio till finally they caught her.
Funds for the radio came from the people. It would come to light after Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia's arrest that grain dealers, business houses, trade associations, cotton merchants of Bombay had all contributed to the cause. Individuals too came out with their spontaneous offerings.
We had to have some funds, and we had no means. When we were discussing this difficulty of ours, an old aunt of mine was listening to our discussion, and when she saw that we were getting rather depressed, she came out and said, "Here is all the property that is mine, including my Stridhan, and I put it at your disposal. You can use it any way you like, but please see that this program of yours is not abandoned."
On 12th November 1942, the voice of freedom was silenced by betrayal. The technician Nariman printer led the police to its location just as the concluding song of the broadcast was being played.
The program began as usual with Hindustan Hamara, with our call sign, with Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia's speech, and just when the end part came, that is when the record Vande Mataram was being played, all the 3 doors of our flat were broken open by the police, and in came our technician, Mr. Printer, along with a battalion of police. When they heard the record being played, they wanted to know who was doing it. When they were told that it was I who was doing it, they just ordered, "Stop that record." and I said in an equally firm tone that the record won't stop, but you please stand on attention. And they did stand on attention, which made us all very happy, and at least made me very happy, that even while doing their duty, they had not become traitors, and they had the love of motherland in their hearts. Then we came out, and there was a rifled policeman on every step of all the 3 floors. But instead of being unnerved, we felt very elated and happy that a guard of honor was being given to us. I told Chandrakant Bhai that who knows, in our lifetime we may or may not get any guard of honor, but today at least the policemen are honoring us by giving us that, and that too at every step. And both of us had a hearty laugh. We climbed down and boarded the police van waiting for us, shouting with pride, Vande Matram.
A special court was formed for their trial. The Criminal Investigation Department interrogated Usha Mehta for 6 months. She was in solitary confinement for this period. She asked the judge if it was compulsory for her to reply to questions. When he replied in the negative, she chose not to answer any queries, not even to save herself. Usha Mehta was the first political prisoner to be released by Morarji Desai, interim Home Minister, in 1946. She was broken in health and bedridden on 15th August 1947. Yet, looking back, she says, "Bliss was it, in that dawn, to be alive," quoting Wordsworth's famous lines on the French Revolution, which signalled the arrival of a new dawn, a dawn of democratic forces.
Those were really exciting days, and today when I think of them, I really feel like saying that bliss was it in that dawn to be alive.
When All India Radio recorded her in her late 70s, her voice was as strong as in that dawn, as confident, committed, unwavering.
This is Congress Radio, speaking from somewhere in India on 42.34 meters. Hindustan Hamara.